Hi everyone, my name is Kyle Rich from Brock University. I just want to start by thanking the committee for this award and for the folks at the Journal of Sport for Development. It's an honor to receive this award and a privilege to be included within this awesome group of people. So in terms of how I found my way to sport for development, I think I came here through more of the, sport policy and sport development route. So my PhD was a participatory action research project with Rural Community Sport and Recreation Committee and organizers. And so through the kind of sport for development or the sport development literature more broadly, I kind of came to the study of sport for development and then thinking about how those two kind of different policy objectives or imperatives might come through different organizational contexts. In terms of the Journal of Sport for Development, I think I was really attracted to this journal because it's an open access outlet, that's friendly to different kinds of publication and is, seeking to get research into the hands of people who may want to read it or may want to understand what's going on in different places, particularly in working closely with community organizers. That's something that I've really valued as an outlet that's easy to get to other organizers, or so that people on my research team who are working in communities and don't necessarily have a subscription to a university library are able to access and to read and to also share within their networks as well. In terms of the areas of sport for development that I would like to explore further, I'm keen to understand how sport for development policy is being enacted in different places, particularly in multi-level governance systems. So we've seen a move where, for a long time, policymakers have kind of inferred or used the rhetoric of sport for development in sport policy, but we're seeing some more kind of explicit acknowledgement of that. So in Canada, for example, we now have sport for development as one of the main kind of policy objectives of our national sport policy. So I'm keen to explore how that kind of changes the dynamic within our multi-level governance systems. We know that organizations were already kind of struggling with balancing mass participation and elite sport development objectives, and now we've also got these kind of social or community development objectives on top of that. So I'm keen to understand what that looks like, where it's working well, in what jurisdictions it's working well in, and which ones it's not, and what are some of the factors that are leading to that. An area of sport for development that doesn't see sufficient research, kind of similar to what I was just talking about. I think we could see a lot more kind of local research on how policy is impacting different kinds of organizations and how that changing policy is impacting the way sport for development is understood, or sport for development is being included in broader sport development systems or structures. So I think understanding how that's playing out in different places and how policy is being crafted and implemented in different places is important to understand. There's lots of great research that happens, but I think if it's not situated well in a community or in a social and political context, the ability for it to be applied in different places isn't necessarily the same, or it may not be employed in the way that it is intended if it lands somewhere different where these kind of policies look different or structures look different or what have you. So some advice for early career scholars, I think we really feel the pressure to publish or be involved in many different things. I think some helpful advice is just to slow down and be really selective in what you invest your time into. Try to invest in the things that you understand how they fit into your kind of broader goals, your long-term plans, or what you want your long-term research and scholarship program to be, and then invest in those things and invest well in those things and really build on that and build on those few specific things that you really want to be known for. I think that's a really important kind of thing. It's really important to take a breath and pause and invest in the things that you think are really important and that you want to be known for going forward. So in the future of sport for development, I think I think it's great. There's been a kind of a whole bunch of different perspectives that have been brought in the field. I think there's been a lot of discussion about interdisciplinary sport for development research, and I think that's really important. But I think when you have a lot of different perspectives that come into a field, it means it becomes many things in many different places. So we've seen a lot of work originally in kind of sociology and international development. Now we've seen a lot more kind of management and organizational research, and even more kind of different things that are coming onto the scene now. But I think in the future we'll be finding ways to build out those kind of interdisciplinary perspectives, but still keeping a clear kind of view of the field and what it's for, and why there's value in having a discussion about sport for development specifically, or whether it falls into different fields and it becomes a kind of subfield in other fields in different ways. So I think that's neither good nor bad. It's just something I think we'll see in the future, and something that I'll be keeping an eye on anyways. Now, my favorite sport for development initiative. So one of my earliest research experiences was working with an organization called the Community Cup, and this was a kind of sport for citizenship and integration program that happened in Ottawa for several years, and it was a special one for me because it challenged me to think really differently about the different ways that sport can be used to develop different kinds of social outcomes. So one of my, I think, favorite parts of the project was the way that they set up their planning teams. So on the planning teams, they included local professionals, students, and newcomers to Ottawa who would organize different elements of the event. And so it allowed people to develop volunteer and professional experience through organizing the event itself. And then they had lots of really just little interesting celebratory pieces that were built into it. So teams were scored based on their kind of commitment to the spirit of the event and the way that they embodied sportsmanship in the game, rather than just on the way that they or how many goals they scored or what they won. And they had things like a citizenship ceremony that happened on site on the day of the event. So it was a real celebration and a really interesting way of kind of rethinking sport and what sport can do in different communities. So that one will always, I think, be one of my favorites that I always think about. So thank you again. I really appreciate being recognized with this award, and want to thank the folks at the Journal for Sport for Development.